Not every app comes from inside your company. Some need to come straight from the Play Store. I'm Chris, one of the principal instructors at SOTI, and I'm joined by David, a senior principal instructor.
Now, in this video, we're going to walk you through app policies in SOTI MobiControl. We're going to show you how to manage public apps and control what's allowed, as well as to ensure that your users get exactly what they need without compromising security. All right, now we saw how we can deploy apps using packages in our previous section. However, we have more options using app policies. App policies are available for 3 specific platforms: Android, Apple, and Windows. Now, Chris, what do these 3 platforms have in common?
Well, David, all 3 platforms have an app store available.
That's right, bingo. And as such, the source of the apps are not coming necessarily from SOTI MobiControl, as you mentioned initially, but from the stores themselves. Now, keep in mind that for some platforms, we can send apps from this area that are not necessarily hosted in the App Store, but let's consider this the exception to the rule for now. So Chris, how about you show us all how to create an app policy for our managed devices?
No problem, David. So we want to navigate to our configuration section inside the hamburger menu. I'm going to click on policies from here. And at the very top, we have our apps policy section, which states that we can configure and manage apps that will be accessible on my devices. I'm going to click there, and this will show me a list of all existing app policies in my MobiControl environments. On the far right, we have the option to add a new app policy, which is where we're going to start. So again, David, as referenced before, we have the 3 platforms, Android, Apple, and Windows in this case. I'm going to choose Android. And from here, from the general screen, I'm going to give my app policy a name. So moving on to the actual apps tab here, we have the ability to add apps to our policy now. Clicking on the add button, I'm greeted first off with my app source. In this case, is the managed Google Play Store. Next up, we have bindings. Now, David, what is a binding and why is it so important?
We're going to learn more about bindings in the enrollment section, but just to give you a bit of an idea, the binding is the contract between you as an organization and the app store that you're getting these applications from. When you actually download an application on your personal device, you're probably doing it with your Google app identity, but in this case, it's not a person, it is an enterprise. So it's going to link those applications to your company.
So David, as I scroll down here with the apps attached to my current binding, are these all the apps available in the Google Play Store?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot more. So it looks more like a catalog. How can we add more applications here, Chris?
So we have a button here called Manage Google Play. I can click on this and it'll actually open the Google Play Store inside of an iframe right inside of SOTI MobiControl. So what I can do from here is I can simply search for the app I wish to find. Once I've located it, I can click on the app, and before I hit the select button to add it to my policy, it's important to note 2 very important things. Firstly is the badge identifying this app is only available in certain countries. This is important for an administrator simply for the fact that the app has to be available in the country I'm deploying. The second badge identifies that this app offers managed configuration, which is essentially additional customizations for your business. It's important to note that not all apps have this, but the ones that do are clearly marked. As you can see, the app is now added to my catalog. I'm going to add a few more to my policy here. So now, let's focus on the 3 dots we see at the left side of each app. I'll click into here and choose Configure. And the first thing I'm greeted with is app details. Now, this is essential information about the app, the publisher, etc., but it also has a package name that we copied for other reasons. Secondly, we have our installation options. Now, by default, mandatory is selected.
I noticed that there's a suggested section there. If someone selects suggested for an app, where is that app going to appear on the device, Chris?
Well, David, just like any other app available to a mobile device, it'll be in the Play Store, but in this case, an enterprise-bound Play Store.
Perfect. So I'm imagining this is reflecting not only the catalog, but also the applications that we're adding to this policy, correct?
That is correct.
Perfect.
So moving on to Manage App Configuration, you notice by default this is turned off. If I turn this on, I can see the available options for customizing the app.
Is this going to be available for every single application?
No, David, as mentioned before, it's only available on the apps that have that badge. And if you were to go into an app that doesn't have it and turn switch on, there will be nothing present.
So that means that the developer of that app needs to add these elements in order for that app to support this feature, correct?
That is correct. So let's move on to app permissions. Now, David, I know you've had some experience with this in the past. Would you mind explaining what this is?
Absolutely, Chris. Now, if you go over to the default permissions policy and we open that, we're going to notice that there's allow, deny, or allow users to configure. These are the permissions that you need to approve on applications when you download them. For example, if you have a calculator app and it's asking you for permissions to access contacts, well, you may not want to allow that. So you as an administrator can be proactive and, for example, deny for a specific application specific access, or you can allow it. So if things change on that application and a permission is now required, there's very little to no intervention requirements from the administrator to make those changes happen.
Thank you, David. So next, we click Save, followed by Save and Assign. We choose our existing device group and assign the policy to that group.
Now, it is very important to know that once we do that, all the devices that are targeted by this group are going to be now receiving these applications. If you want to be a little bit more specific, you can then use the filters or the users to specify a subset of users or devices. Another thing to consider is that, as you mentioned, these applications are coming from the Play Store. They're not coming from SOTI MobiControl. So Chris, what do you think is going to happen if you're selecting these options on a Monday morning at 9 a.m., for example?
Well, the time frame when these apps are being downloaded matters, David. At certain times of the day, there's more traffic than others. That can affect your app deployments.
Correct. So it may take longer for your applications to hit those devices. And it's best to choose times and days where typical traffic is not as heavy in order to make the deployment of your applications a little bit smoother.
Absolutely.
Well, that's how you manage public apps at scale using app policies. Now that your devices are fully configured with profiles, internal packages, as well as public apps, it's time to streamline how devices get enrolled in the first place.
So stay tuned for the next video on enrollment policies and provisioning methods.